By every known law of the galaxy, the battle was already over. That was the consensus recorded in the crystalline archives of the Khepri Ascendancy, a civilization older than most stars still burning. Their historians did not speculate, they calculated. They measured probabilities, mass, energy, and outcome. And when the data aligned, they declared truth. And the truth, as they saw it, was simple. Humanity could not win. The battlefield was the Halcyon Reach, a vast expanse of space threaded with blue-white stellar currents and fractured debris from ancient wars. To the Khepri, it was a perfect killing ground. To humans, it was simply where the enemy had chosen to make their stand. The Khepri fleets arrived in silence, their ships like obsidian insects drifting between the stars. Each vessel was grown, not built, carapaced hulls layered with adaptive armor, weapons fused seamlessly into their bodies. They had conquered 1,000 species without ever once needing to rethink their approach. At the center of their formation hovered the Sovereign Node, a colossal command structure where thought itself was weaponized. From there, the Khepri High Strategist observed the human forces assembling across the reach. The strategist's name, translated roughly, meant one who knows the end before the beginning. And what it knew, with absolute certainty, was that the humans were about to lose. Their fleet was smaller. Their ships were clumsy by Khepri standards, angular, inelegant, visibly modular. Their weapons signatures were crude, relying on brute energy rather than precision harmonics. Their defensive fields flickered with inefficiencies that made the strategist's sensory filaments tighten in mild disdain. A lesser species would have surrendered already, but humans did not. "They are forming a defensive lattice," reported one of the lesser nodes, its voice echoing through the shared consciousness. "It is inefficient. Predictive models show collapse within 4 standard cycles." The High Strategist acknowledged the report without comment. Its attention lingered on a single anomaly. The humans were not rushing. Most species, when faced with inevitable defeat, accelerated. They lashed out. They spent everything they had in a desperate blaze of futility. Humans were waiting. From the Khepri perspective, this was not bravery, it was ignorance. "They do not understand the scope of their disadvantage," another node concluded. The High Strategist agreed. It extended its awareness further, probing the human command channels it had already cracked open with trivial effort. Human voices flowed through, calm, measured, strangely conversational. No panic, no hysteria. One voice in particular stood out, female, steady, older than most of the others. "Hold position, let them finish deploying." The strategist processed this and found no tactical sense in it. The Khepri Ascendancy did not deploy without purpose. Every movement was optimized, every formation final. Letting them finish only ensured the humans would die faster. The High Strategist broadcast the declaration across all channels, not just to its own fleet, but openly, deliberately, so the humans would hear it. Battle outcome calculated, human resistance probability negligible. Surrender now to minimize biological loss. There was a pause. Then, unexpectedly, a human voice replied. "Negative," the woman said simply. "We're right on time." The strategist felt something unfamiliar ripple through its cognition. Not fear, but curiosity. The first volleys came like a verdict being read aloud. Khepri weapons did not fire in bursts or beams. They unfolded. Space itself warped as probability lances tore forward, striking human ships with mathematically perfect efficiency. 3 human frigates vanished in the opening seconds, erased not by explosion, but by subtraction, their matter unspooled into nothing. To the Khepri,
This was mercy. They were ending the battle quickly. Human counterfire followed, missiles, rail slugs, directed energy. Some struck home. A few Kepri vessels lost armor plating. One suffered a propulsion failure and drifted out of formation. Statistically irrelevant. The high strategist adjusted projections. Human defeat remained absolute. And yet, the humans continued to behave incorrectly. Instead of collapsing inward, their fleet expanded. Ships repositioned not toward safety, but outward into more dangerous vectors. Smaller craft detached and moved independently, weaving between enemy lines with reckless abandon. "They are sacrificing assets," a node observed. "This will not alter the outcome." "No," the strategist replied, "but it may alter their perception of it." That was when the humans did something no model had predicted. They slowed the battle. Not tactically, temporally. At first, it was subtle. Weapon impacts arrived a fraction of a second later than expected. Maneuvers lagged, not due to mechanical failure, but something deeper. The strategist rechecked its internal clocks, perfectly synchronized. The universe, however, was not. Localized time dilation rippled through the reach, faint but undeniable. To most species, it would have been imperceptible. To the Kepri, who measured reality itself as a resource, it was glaring. "They are manipulating relativistic fields," a node reported. "Crude, unstable." "Yes," the strategist agreed, "and pointless." Time dilation was a known phenomenon. Any sufficiently advanced civilization used it, but it was expensive, energy-intensive, and, in battle, rarely decisive. You could slow time in one place, the enemy could simply go around it. The Kepri did exactly that, redirecting their attack vectors to bypass the affected zones. Human losses mounted, the reach filled with wreckage and drifting debris. From every rational standpoint, the humans were losing, and yet they still did not retreat. On the sovereign node, the high strategist watched the human fleet's heart, a cluster of larger vessels moving in precise formation around one single ship that did not match the others. It was older. Its hull bore scars not from this battle, but from dozens before. Its engines burned with an uneven glow, like a fire that had learned to survive rather than shine. And within that ship sat Admiral Mara Ellison. She watched the same battle data the strategist did, though through far inferior sensors. She saw ships die. She heard voices cut off mid-sentence. She did not flinch. "Status?" she asked. A young officer swallowed. "We've lost 28% of outer screen. Phase 1 is holding." "Good. Phase 2? The officer hesitated. "The Kepri are adapting faster than simulations predicted." Ellison smiled faintly. "They always do. That's why we didn't bet on simulations." She tapped a control on her armrest. "Begin chrono anchor deployment, all stations." Across the human fleet, something woke up.
The first chrono anchor ignited near a shattered moon fragment, invisible to the naked eye, but violently obvious to reality itself. Space-time bent inward, stabilizing around an artificial constant. Then another, and another. They were not weapons, not directly. They did not explode or fire beams. They simply existed, enforcing a rule where no rule had been before. Time within their influence stopped being relative. It became absolute. To the Kepri, this was profoundly wrong. "They are anchoring temporal flow," a node reported, its tone strained. "This violates efficiency thresholds." "It is unsustainable," another added. "Energy costs exceed tactical benefit." The high strategist agreed, which meant the humans were doing it anyway. As more anchors activated, the reach transformed into a patchwork of temporal zones. Some regions flowed normally, others slowed,
A few, small controlled pockets ran faster. Human ships danced between them. To an outside observer, it was chaos. To humans, it was choreography. Ellison leaned forward. "All units," she said softly, "remember your training. Time is to reign. Use it." Human pilots adjusted instinctively. They had grown up with relativity, not as an abstract concept, but as lived experience. Long-haul spacers, asteroid miners, deep-range explorers. Humans had learned early that time was never fair. So they stopped asking it to be. Fighters skimmed the edges of slow time zones, launching munitions that accelerated as they crossed boundaries, striking Kepri hulls with impossible force. Capital ships dipped briefly into fast time pockets, executing repairs and reloading before slipping back out. The Kepri responded with overwhelming firepower. But for the first time, their shots missed, not because the humans were faster, but because they were earlier. The strategist recalculated. Human defeat probability dropped from absolute to near absolute. An error margin. Unacceptable. "Deploy temporal nullifiers," it commanded. The Kepri ships responded, projecting fields designed to collapse time manipulation entirely. Where they touched, the anchors flickered and died. Human zones unraveled. Ships were caught mid-maneuver, torn apart as conflicting temporal forces ripped them open. Ellison closed her eyes for a fraction of a second. "Phase 3, she whispered. Deep within the human flagship, something ancient hummed to life. It was not advanced by Kepri standards. It was not elegant. It was stubborn. The device had been theorized centuries earlier, dismissed as impractical and shelved. Then humanity almost went extinct, twice. After that, impractical started to sound a lot like necessary. "Temporal Command Corps online," reported the engineer, her voice trembling. "Admiral, it's holding." Ellison opened her eyes. "Then let's show them why humans never liked being told what's impossible."
The change was immediate. Every chrono anchor synchronized, not with each other, but with the command core. Instead of isolated effects, the reach became a single unified temporal construct. Time no longer flowed through the battlefield, it flowed from the humans. The high strategist felt it like a wound. Its predictive models fractured, cause and effect blurred. Futures overlapped, then collapsed into one another. For the first time in its long existence, it could not see the end. "Explain," it demanded of its nodes. No answer came immediately. Some nodes had gone silent, their consciousness threads severed as Kepri ships froze in time, caught mid-thought, mid-action. Human vessels moved among them like ghosts. They did not rush, they took their time. To the Kepri crews trapped inside those ships, it felt like eternity compressed into a heartbeat. To the humans, it was just another day at work. Ellison watched the enemy flagship, the Sovereign node, struggling against the temporal tide. Its massive form resisted more than the others, its systems burning through energy at a staggering rate to maintain autonomy. "Open a channel," Ellison said. The strategist received the signal automatically. Human communication was strange, linear, inefficient, and yet it carried something the Kepri had never learned to encode. Emotion. "You declared this battle unwinnable," Ellison said, her voice echoing through the node. "You were right, for you." "This manipulation is temporary," the strategist replied, forcing clarity through the distortion. "You cannot sustain it." Ellison nodded. "We know." "Then your victory is meaningless." She smiled, and there was no triumph in it, only certainty. "No," she said, "it's educational." With a gesture, she ordered the release. Time snapped back. Not all at once, but selectively.
Kepri ships emerged from stasis, only to find human forces exactly where they needed to be. Weapons fired at optimal moments. Shields failed precisely when they mattered most. The sovereign node itself was struck, not destroyed, but disabled, its temporal core overloaded and burned out. The battle ended not with an explosion, but with silence. The Kepri fleet drifted, broken but alive. The humans did not pursue.
In the aftermath, the high strategist existed in fragments. Its certainty was gone, its archives were incomplete, and its understanding of humanity was insufficient. Ellison stood on the bridge of her ship, looking out at the Reach, now quiet and scarred. "Signal the Kepri survivors," she said. "Offer assistance." An officer blinked. "Assistance, ma'am?" "Yes," Ellison replied. "They're going to need help recalibrating their clocks." When the strategist finally spoke again, its voice lacked the confidence it once had. "Why did you not destroy us?" Ellison considered the question. "Because we didn't need to," she said, "and because one day you might remember this moment when you're deciding someone else's fate." The strategist processed this for a long time. Humans, it realized, did not command time because they were powerful. They commanded it because they understood loss. They knew what it meant to have too little of it. And so they had learned, through desperation and hope, how to make it count. As the fleets separated and the Reach began its slow return to normalcy, the Kepri recorded a new entry in their archives, not a prediction, a warning. Never tell humans what cannot be done. They will take it as a suggestion. And for the first time, the galaxy understood what it truly meant to be human. If this story moved you, subscribe for more human stories from the stars.